Cone-based drills. A team training or class visit session requires a coordination of groups. Group drills are a practical way to develop speed and quickness with little equipment. Relay-based drills add a competitive component which encourages 100% effort. Maximal effort is required to improve speed. The following simple cone setup can be used for a number of agility drills with very little time lost in changing the actual position of the cone setup. This is important for the continuity of a session. It also allows for unlimited changes in the running pattern, which means each repetition can be different. This helps keep the focus and concentration and allows for dominant or generic movement patterns to be targeted. The number of grids set up depends on the number of participants in each session. Rest periods will be determined to a degree by the number of people in each group. For example, 4 people in each line will mean a 1:3 rest ratio. I recommend group sizes of between 3 and 6. The circuit allows for the following patterns of movement, all of which are important to sport. Straight line explosive acceleration, braking or stopping, backwards running, forwards and backwards combination, backwards and forwards combination, 90-degree side steps off the right and left sides, 180-degree side steps off the right and left sides, lateral direction and direction change, forwards lateral combination, lateral forwards combination, and lateral backwards combination. 5-cone star setup. This drill is characterized by 5 cones. The starting cone for each group is home, with the middle cones numbered 1, 2 and 3, reading right to left for one team and left to right for the opposing team. This ensures that each runner is running to the same cone regardless of which team they are in. Control the running direction by calling out a combination of numbers. These must be memorized by the runner and the team and completed in sequence. It can be made very short, for example 1, 2, home, or more difficult by increasing the numbers. For example, 1, 3, home, 2, 1, home. Runners cannot leave until the hand is tagged by their teammate. Emphasis is placed on a 1-foot direction change and explosive movement patterns. For sharp cuts and side steps, ensure the players change direction at the cone and do not go around it. Running around the cones will initiate a swerve, which is not used to the same degree as a sharp step or cut on the sports field. However, rounding the cones does allow for greater variation and is suitable to add. To increase the sequences available and the intensity, cone number 4 can be added to the circuit. This cone is directly opposite the home cone. Adding the 4th cone increases the traffic and assists with the development of peripheral vision, concentration and sometimes evasion. When setting up more than one circuit, cones become shared. For example, Team 1's number 2 cone is Team 3's number 1, and Team 1's number 3 cone is Team 3's number 2. This maximises space, increases the traffic, and allows for easy motivation and monitoring whilst maintaining each group's individual circuit. Example patterns: 1 home, 2 home, 3 home. 2 home, 3 home, 1 home. 1, 2, 4 home. 4, 2, 4 home. 2 home, 1 home, 4 home. Alteration 1. When returning to the home cone, participants run backwards. This alters both the movement pattern and the movement skill at the point of direction change. For example, if they have to run backwards to home, a 1 home, 2 home, 3 home command will give 3 acceleration patterns, 3 backward patterns, 3 backwards and forwards direction changes, and 3 forwards and backwards direction changes. If running forwards for the whole pattern, the same sequence will give 6 acceleration patterns and 5 180-degree cuts or changes of direction. Alteration 2. Building on the previous pattern, a further alteration is to allow only lateral movement between cones 1 and 3, which changes the pattern to one dominated by combinations of forwards lateral, lateral backwards, and lateral lateral patterns. Obviously these patterns are much more specific to court sports, but should be included to some degree when planning sessions. Care must be taken to instruct participants not to cross the feet over or turn the hips when moving laterally. Crossing the feet and turning the hips makes it very difficult to effect an efficient, rapid direction change. A simple instruction is to stay facing forward at all times. Instruction must also be given to stay on the balls of the feet and maintain a forward lean. Sample patterns: 2, 1, 2, home, 2, home, 2, 3, 2, home. Alter the movement pattern by commanding the foot to be used when stopping or changing direction. There is always a choice between using the right or left foot when running forwards and having to stop and rapidly change direction. Controlling the foot used can add to the difficulty of the drill and ensure balance, as runners will often continuously use their strongest side. Sample: 1, 2, home, 3, home, using right foot and right hand to touch the cones. Alteration 4. A final alteration is to yell out the circuit direction as the students are running. This will mean the runners will not know which cone they are to go to until they reach the previous cone. This challenges reactions and concentration to a greater degree, but can only be introduced when one circuit is in use. Alteration 5. Altering the distances between cones will also impact on the movement patterns and intensity. Shortening up the circuit will mean less time between a change of direction, and this challenges footwork to a greater degree. Box drills. By moving the position of one cone, you can change the shape of the circuit and corresponding movement patterns. The box drill when set up will look like a figure 9. Instruction is given to sprint around the circuit with a possible change of the movement skill at each cone. Again, changes can be made to each and every repetition to ensure the group does not get bored and focuses on each sprint. You can combine any number of patterns with this simple circuit. For example, straight run clockwise around the cones, straight run anti-clockwise around the cones,
move sharp, 1 foot change, punch home quickly, right around the back.
Sprint forward to the first cone, move laterally, move forwards, move laterally, and backwards to finish. Move lateral to the first cone, move forward to the next cone, move laterally, crossover step, and sprint to the finish. Backwards to the first cone, turn and sprint forwards to the top cone, lateral, turn and sprint to the finish. 2 circuit samples. When working with larger groups, just add 3 cones to double the number of circuits. This example shows 2 circuits and how each shares cones with the other whilst maintaining their individual routes. This can be duplicated as many times as possible to cater for between 3 and 7 people in each group. Power cuts. This drill is characterized by a crossover step into a sprint, 2 180-degree changes of direction, and 3 explosive bursts. Without moving the cones, you can split the group into 3 and have one group stand on the middle line of the cones facing you. On your command, runners pivot and sprint to the left or right line. Then they cut and sprint to the far line and cut and sprint to the finish, past the middle line. Then jog out of the area and another group comes in to complete their repetition. Every repetition should have a change of direction and or the foot, as this is used to initiate the direction change. Maximal effort is required, as is an effort to explode out of the direction change, emphasizing the first 2 or 3 steps.
Go. Right side move, right side facing the other way. Sprint through. Good. In. Go left, left foot, left foot. Go. So push back hard. Left foot. Right through. Good.